Well, it's your guy, Dennis Fair, retired member of the Metropolitan Police Department, serving 29 years straight from 1990 to 2019. And it feels good to be retired. Been doing a little traveling. Was out Cancun for a minute, out Dominican Republic. Cancun, I'm not a fan of Cancun, but it was someone's birthday, so any excuse to leave the country. Dominican Republic would be my choice over Cancun, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. You got to, fit in where you can get in. You know what I'm saying? Anything I say, as the most part, disclaimer. Don't take it as legal advice. I'm telling you what I know, and what I know won't necessarily get you off from an attorney aspect. Let's get right into it. Donald Trump, assassination attempt. I know a lot of people thought that was staged. And if you look at the video, it kind of looked somewhat staged. But in this day and era, people don't do what they're supposed to do. Obviously, if you hear shots fired, you're supposed to get down. If you watch the video, there are shots fired. People don't get right down right away because they're trying to determine if it's gunshots or not. It was gunshots. This was not a staged event. Although if you look at the blood, it kind of looked like something from a movie set because the way it trickled down. Had Donald Trump been struck fatally, that blood wouldn't have looked nothing like that. It would have been extremely dark, and it would have been flowing like a waterfall. It wouldn't have been pretty. A high-powered shot from a high-powered rifle, rather, would have shattered his head like a cantaloupe or a watermelon. I know that's somewhat graphic, but I'm just going to give it to you raw how it really would have took place. In this particular case, in my opinion, and that's just for anyone that's watching this, that's Secret Service related. You got a loved one that works for Secret Service. I call a strike a strike. I call a ball a ball. I don't have no cut cards, could care less if it was the Metropolitan Police Department. I still would say what I'm about to say. Secret Service dropped the ball. Secret Service failed miserably. Some things you would not necessarily notice unless you have prior law enforcement background, unless you work with Secret Service, which I have done both. Worked with Secret Service on a lot of presidential details, dignitary details, all that good stuff. They are proficient in a way, how can I say this? From a training aspect, they're extremely proficient. Now, a real live event, as you saw, all that goes out the window in a live event. You can train all day. You can, for example, as a kicker for the NFL or any sport, whether it's the NFL or just college ball or just high school ball, you can kick field goals from long distances all day at practice. But when you get into a real live scenario where you got to kick that field goal for a game-winning kick and you got 1,000 people screaming your name and they're not necessarily calling you what you want to be called, and this can, get a little graphic, they're calling you everything but your name. It's a lot of pressure. In a scenario like that, Secret Service has great resources. They're always trained. But in a real live assassination attempt, we see who's who. We see who's going to fold. We see who's going to panic, or the famous, we see who's going to choke. Yeah, some of them did choke. You could kind of see it. Let's start from the beginning of the video. I don't have it to play, but you could gladly watch it from the privacy of your home after you finish watching me. 3 shots are fired. I heard at least 3 shots, and there were multiple shots after that. But the reason I'm focusing on the 3 shots, there were 3 shots fired before Secret Service got on the stage. Absolute failure in every way. How is it that 3 shots were fired and you still haven't got on the stage? So Secret Service was basically trying to determine, was those gunshots? Doesn't matter if they were gunshots or not. I've seen them escort, the president off the stage for scenarios that were nothing like that. But here's a scenario where you should have got him off immediately. You didn't. You get him, you tackle him, or he actually didn't tackle him. He's already going down before they even get to him. He's going down. I guess they tell him to get down or whatever. He's concerned about getting his shoes, like he got on some Jordans or something. It doesn't make sense. I'm making a joke out of it because the last thing you should be doing is worried about shoes, and you could have possibly taken a fatal headshot. That would have been the end of it. In this particular case, they form a bubble, which, is part of the training. They're supposed to do that. However, you see a female with blonde hair that's somewhat not the same height as the other Secret Service agents. And there's a clear view of Donald Trump. Now, a lot of times, if all of them were the same height or taller, it would have been kind of hard to get that shot. I mean, obviously, you could have shot through the agents and still hit him, but you couldn't get a clear shot. But because that female was so short, he still was in a clear view. Now, of course, Donald Trump doesn't make it easy for himself by raising his hand, pumping his fist. I mean, the pumping fist thing is funny to me because it's actually one of the symbols of black power or something. He probably didn't think about that. He's just trying to get the crowd revved up. But, the whole fist pumping thing is kind of funny to me. You need to be focused on getting off the stage and doing new presidents. They are all briefed on what to do in these particular situations and try to make Secret Service's job a little easier in a real live situation like that. Donald Trump did the opposite. He wanted to stay on the stage. He wanted to get the crowd revved up. It took them a lengthy amount of time to clear that path to the Suburban. That shouldn't have happened. Should have been a clear path to the Suburban. It should have stayed clear the whole time in case of a scenario like that. You watch the video, you can see the Secret Service agents, maybe they don't work together on a regular basis. A lot of times they rotate agents in and out, but the training is all the same. So everybody should be able to work together in the same way. This is like with the Metropolitan Police Department. I come across officers when I was working from other districts. We should all be able to clear a building the same way. We all had the same training, but a lot of times fear can take over one officer where it may not take over the other officers. So that officer may not perform well in a real hostile situation. Now, it's easy to clear a building and do all this stuff down at the academy when you go to the house and the scenarios are going down. But in a real live situation where you really hear gunshots, you'll see who's who in that scenario and who's not. Some people are been in those situations where they're not going to fold. Now, if it's your first scenario and you've never been in a situation like that, chances are it could happen. It's 50-50. The female I'm referring to, you could see that she didn't really know what was going on, just was panicking. There's another female as they are getting him to the Suburban that's attempting to holster a weapon. She can't holster a weapon. First thing they tell you doing gun and any type of law enforcement firearm training, you must be able to holster your weapon without looking. She could not holster that weapon to save her life. Absolutely pathetic on every level. Now, you also notice, if you watch the video, there's a CAT team that comes in. That's the counter assault team. You the camouflage, and then you see some more Secret Service in all black with long guns. That's great. But at that time, they didn't know exactly where the shooter was. So if there are 2 or 3 shooters, you can take a few of them out too, because they're on the stage waving long guns, and you got a whole crowd of people. You really don't know what you're looking for or where the threat is. Now, obviously, at some point during that time, they yelled that the shooter's down. That's another situation when it comes down to Secret Service. This is not the Metropolitan Police Department. Their resources are endless. It's nothing like local law enforcement. They have resources. They have drones. A lot of times they'll come to a location that the president's going to be and do surveillance. They'll watch. They'll seal manholes. They'll do all types of checks of the roof and all that type of stuff. I don't know if they relaxed because this was like almost looked like a like setting where there wasn't anything in the area. It kind of put it in like a carnival type atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if any buildings were close, but either way, they have the resources to scope that area out the entire time. Not to mention, we won't even go into satellites. They have ways of doing things that local law enforcement cannot do. So that's why I'm saying it's a failure on every level. I don't know if they just relaxed or they felt, well, it'll be good out here. There's nothing out here. Wrong. When it's a perfect scenario, it's never ever too much to really do what you're supposed to and overdo it when it comes down to the president of the United States. You can't have shortcuts. And obviously they dropped the ball. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They dropped the ball miserably because this individual got off multiple shots. Now, had he had the right high-power rifle, or maybe he jerked the trigger, maybe he just panicked, I don't know. But he had obviously a clear view of the president. He just missed the shot for whatever reason. Now, it's fortunate, regardless of how you might feel about Trump or how I might feel about Trump, I don't want to see the man lose his life. He's done nothing to me that it affects me to that point where I'm wishing for his death. When it comes down to politics, I'm not politically obsessed with Republicans or Democrats because I'm not at a level where it would affect me, but I'm not at a level on a lower level where it's going to affect me. But I'm kind of like in between. So really, in reality, it doesn't matter who the president is. It's not going to really affect me financially or mentally. It's just not. I'm just going to be brutally honest. And in most cases, those of you watching this, you have to ask yourself this. No matter who the president is it really going to affect you? Now, I get the whole vote where your ancestors died trying to get voting rights and all. I get that. But on the same level, Republican or Democrat, which I don't really identify with neither, I try to focus on the best candidate that has my interests at hand. However, when it comes down to voting for someone of the lesser evils, I think that's kind of stupid. If I don't really support what you stand for, I'm not going to vote. And I'm not going to vote for the other one because he's the best of two evils. That's like saying, well, you know what? I'm not going to vote for Satan, but I'll vote for Lucifer. They both devils. Now, you can take that how you want to take it. Like I said, that's just my political opinion. I'm not really caught up with that Democrat, Republican type stuff. If it's somebody that I think is a great candidate, I'll vote. But the reality is, with me, I can't say how it works for you. It does not affect me financially, no matter who's in the president. I'm not on that level with Congress and like that, but I'm not at the bottom either. I'm kind of like in between. So I don't know if that's necessarily considered a good place, but I have yet to see a president that's actually put in office that affected my livelihood. It just hasn't happened. I'm being brutally honest. 29 years in law enforcement, retired since 2019. It's still not affecting me. I get a cost of living raise every year. So it is what it is. But on the same note, you got to come in touch with reality. Like I said, during this particular assassination attempt, you got people filming. No touch of reality to get down or just try to stay down until the situation's over. You got people that never got down there were actually just filming the whole time. Now, of course, that's great for the media because they're going to want the whole of your video. They're going to want to pay you for it. And Secret Service, if necessary, will confiscate your phone, and it is now evidence. You will probably not get your phone back, or when you get it back, you probably won't want it because it'll be your phone will be tampered with, to make a long story short. As they got into the bubble situation where they all got around him, there's a short female that's not on the same height level as Donald Trump. And the others are pretty much the same height or maybe a little taller. In that particular situation, you want to have everybody of equal height if possible because that doesn't give you a clear target of the president. In this particular case, of course, you can shoot through the agents and still hit the president. But on the same note, you have a female that's not as the height of Donald Trump. And of course, from what I understand, he wears heels in his shoes to make him even taller. If he does, that's his business. But on the same note, you don't have equal height. So he's still exposed. There's still a clear shot of him. Now, if there were 3 or more shooters, it would have been a problem because they did not get him right off the stage right away. I don't think the path to the Suburban was clear, so they could not just keep it moving. And not to mention, Donald Trump wasn't exactly being the easiest individual to get to the Suburban. He's waving his fist and chanting something to get the crowd going. I mean, after you get shot, I mean that's just ego and adrenaline kicking in. But you need to get to the limo and get out of there as soon as possible. That's what the training is for. Even with presidents, they're supposed to follow the guidelines of Secret Service. When they tell you to do something, you do it. Not in this particular case. Donald Trump stood on the running board to the Suburban, gave some more chance, got the crowd pumped up, let you know I'm still good. It's almost like, what is this, Tupac? You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, dude. Get out of there. You shot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, from what I understand, it was possibly a deflection of something that the bullet hit that, fragmented into his ear, which is fortunate because had that been a real actual headshot, it wouldn't have been pretty. It's like shooting a watermelon or a cantaloupe. It would not have been pretty. It would have been a lot of blood, a lot of skull fragments, and I'm just speaking from a law enforcement perspective. I know it's kind of it's kind of a odd conversation to have if you're not used to it, but unfortunately, being in law enforcement 29 years, death and things like that, you see so often it doesn't faze you. But skull fragments, a lot of brain matter, a lot of blood, a lot of people in that audience would have been covered with all types of stuff, because when a high-powered round strikes a soft target like a head, it is not a pretty sight. It's just not. It's not a pretty sight. After something like that happens, the whole area is a crime scene. I did not understand why it wasn't maintained. I mean, obviously, if it's a live situation, it's hard to rope it off when people are running, but you got to have your local law enforcement agencies do something, because Secret Service has no cut cards about it. They rely on local law enforcement agencies to assist them. They have no manpower or woman power, to be politically correct, because they're females as well. They don't have large numbers. They just don't. They're stretched paper thin, and they don't have any right now when it comes down to a lot of their details. A lot of times they rely on the Metropolitan Police Department and other local agencies to assist them. But in this particular case, you didn't see any local law enforcement, and I don't know what type of numbers that the local law enforcement had. You didn't see local law enforcement until that was over. I mean, I don't know if they were scared. I mean, and the reason I say that, it be probably in your mind like, wait a minute, how can law enforcement be scared? Yes, they are some fearful, scary police officers. And I'm not just saying Secret Service, Metropolitan Police Department. I've worked with many officers that were just scary. No, I don't have the heart of an iron heart. I mean, but on the same note, I took an oath to do the job. I'm not going to sit around and concern myself with fear when I got a job to do. You can get scared later. That was just always my opinion, and a lot of guys I work with opinion. Call it crazy. Yeah, to a certain degree, you have to be to do the job. But on the same note, I didn't see any local law enforcement until it was over. You know, Secret Service obviously dropped the ball. They have resources that are limitless. It's not like the Metropolitan Police Department where they're cutting corners because they don't want to spend a lot of money over. Secret Service is not like that. They have drones. They have all types of stuff. They have things that they can shoot stuff out of the sky with. They got some serious stuff. And I don't understand, even from, let's go into satellites. They have a lot of resources. And I'll just say that without saying too much. You couldn't get a bead on this individual. There was no one to scan this perimeter. I mean, a lot of times they'll have helicopters come in the area. They're watching every single thing that's going on. But for some reason, this guy was able to get on the ledge and have, he fired multiple shots. I heard at least 3 shots. Now, I don't know whether those were the other shots that I did hear coming from Secret Service or what, but there was also innocent individual they say died as a hero. I don't know what actually transpired with that. The verdict is still out. I tell anybody that watches me, don't always believe what you hear, because I've heard some things and been on the scenes of some stuff, and it totally did not happen like that the news reported. Now, whether or not the news purposely reported something false or got the information wrong, I don't know. But I will tell you again, do not believe everything you see on the news. Do not believe everything you read. Use some common sense and some judgment of your own. This individual supposedly tried to shield his family and was killed in the process. Now, I don't know if he was struck by the shooter that was attempting to assassinate Donald Trump, or was he hit by a Secret Service trying to return fire. I honestly don't know that situation. And naturally, it sounds better if he died as a hero. Sounds best. It sounds better if he was trying to cover his family. Regardless, it's no right way to die. No one wants to die, period, especially at something like that. You know, let alone get shot by accidental round from Secret Service. Could that have happened? Of course it could have happened. Could it have been the shooter that was attempting to shoot Donald Trump? Obviously, if he missed Donald Trump, he probably missed some other stuff too. And like you said, it could have easily struck some innocent bystanders that were just at the rally or whatever. However, the verdict is out. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. What do I think? I can't even say I know, because no matter what, even if it was a situation where Secret Service did accidentally shoot him, it sounds better if he died as a hero and put it on the shooter. The shooter's not alive to tell his stories like, I didn't shoot him. That's not even the round I was using. You know what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with this. However, again, a poor poor performance on Secret Service. There was another female, if you watch the video in its entirety, that could not holster her weapon. Absolutely pathetic on every single level. She could not holster a weapon. Now, any type of law enforcement training or firearm training with law enforcement, obviously you got to holster. So one of the things that they train you, you must learn to holster your weapon without looking at it. So you can't take your eyes off your target and look down at your weapon and holster it. The main thing and the reason for this is that you want to stay eyes in front of you on the target or any potential targets that come up. You know what I'm saying? Because the target is no longer there, doesn't mean another target's not going to pop out. That's why you holster without looking down at your holster. You got to keep your eyes on your target or targets that may become targets, out of nowhere. Looking down at your gun in that split second, or looking down at your holster rather, to put your gun inside the holster could cause you to be fatally struck. So that's why you don't look at your holster while you're trying to holster. This Secret Service agent was doing her best to holster without looking. Couldn't do it. Finally took her eyes off and looked down at the holster and put the gun in there. Absolutely pathetic on every level. I mean, you could hear their conversation as they were talking amongst each other, as they were trying to figure out what to do. They didn't know what they were doing. Or I won't say they didn't know what they were doing. They froze up because they had not been in a live situation. So you can train all day. And always, like I said, use it as an NFL situation. Game-winning kick. You the third string kicker. You ain't kicked in no big games like that. But the kicker's out or whoever's out, you got to kick this or game-winning field goal. If you miss, that's it. A lot of times you're going to be 9 times out of 10 cut because you just lost the game that's going to put them in the playoffs or whatever. Same situation like this. Secret Service is going to clean house. They're going to go back to the playbook. They're going to watch this video over and over again. There were a lot of screw-ups. Now, they're not going to go public and tell you this. I'll tell you it because I've been in law enforcement 29 years. I've worked with them. So this is not no make-believe stuff that I'm just quarterbacking, sideline quarterback that have no experience in this. I've worked with Secret Service. They're not as proficient as one would think. And I'll tell you why. A lot of times they do have good training. They have a state-of-the-art training. And the thing is, a lot of times they don't get any live experiences. Like, for example, the scenario with President Obama was in office, I believe. Individual jumped the fence to the White House, made it all the way inside the White House, and Secret Service never took the shot. In a case like that, you don't know if this individual has a bomb or what. Regardless of whether or not the president is in the office or not in the White House, that's a shot. That's a legal shot you can take. Secret Service. You don't know what he has. You don't know who's in the White House. You don't know if his family members or not. He made it into the White House. Fortunately, he didn't have any bombs. He didn't have any. I don't think he was armed or anything. But Secret Service again failed miserably. And during the whole presidential Obama candidacy, there were individuals jumping the fence damn near daily. I mean, it just became the new thing to do. Let's go. Hey, what you doing today, man? Let's go jump the White House fence. Back in the day, you didn't want to do that because there was a good chance you was going to get shot. And then, okay, you jump the fence. Run up on the White House's motorcade if you want. Now, I've seen all types of stuff. And Secret Service is not what you think they are. I mean, they are a wonderful agency, but they do a lot of training. But what good are you if you're training and in a live scenario, you freeze up? It happened. I mean, again, 3 shots fired before they can get on the stage. Why did it take y'all so long to get on stage after 3 shots were fired? Fortunately, the individual did not strike his target. I don't know, again, if he jerked the trigger. I don't know if the rifle he had just wasn't accurate. Sometimes if you have a high-power rifle, something as small as the scope being off, you can have a high-power scope that will make the target look as clear as you looking at me right now talking from that distance. However, I don't know if that was the case or not. I know they showed the picture. He looked like one of those kids that's in school that nobody wanted to play with, or they made fun of him. He fit the whole stereotype, and I don't, I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I'm not from this sensitive era. Well, you shouldn't have said that. That's somebody's child. Yeah, that's somebody's child that took a shot at the president. So he's where he's supposed to be, regardless. Unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? I wish that it could have been some other scenario. It's some understanding that he was a Republican, so kind of doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you're part of the same gang, why are you firing on your own people, but that's been going on since the beginning of time. So I don't understand the logic. Maybe he was mentally troubled. Of course, that'll come up. He was on medication. He was a troubled youth. They always made fun of. Well, they made fun of me when I was young. They called me Dennis the Menace, who loves to play tennis. I know some of y'all laugh. Man, I could care less. Some people even made fun of me as an adult. Man, you gonna be a police officer? Why would you want to be the man? Or you about to be the feds? The same friends, or I won't even call them friends. Same people I grew up with that call me the feds, and this is just being real. They still working. I'm not working. I haven't worked since 2019. So let's cut the BS. You got to dismiss that type of stuff. But there's no reason to get upset and get sensitive and take somebody's life or attempt to shoot the president. You already know that's a death wish. You shoot the president or you run up on the president, you're going to pay the price. And it is what it is. I mean, you're where you're supposed to be. That's what we call, in my era, Russian death. That wasn't no situation where, his time was just up. You hear a lot of people say that, a lot of older people say, well, his time is up. No, his time wasn't up. He rushed death. Now, from what I understand, it was his father's rifle or weapon. Hopefully, all that stuff is legally in order, because if it's not, the father going to catch the charges. The son is gone. Now, regardless, that's somebody's child. Were there signs there possibly? They probably were. Parents probably ignored it. It is what it is. He's no longer here. Was he operating alone? It's hard to say. It's still a preliminary investigation right now. But again, I said, like I said it before, Secret Service failed miserably. They're going to look at the video of the actual incident. Some people are probably going to get reassigned. Some people might go back to uniform division. You'd be surprised what they do when you fail like that. And like I said, it could have easily cost the president's life. And you could see by watching them, there was no organization. They did not know what they were doing. Panic took over. They didn't know. They did not know what they were doing. And of course, you got the CAT team coming in, the counter assault team come in, camouflage, some Secret Service, all black, long guns. Where's your target? You don't know where your target is. You don't even know where the shot's coming from. It looks good, but on the same note, all of y'all are targets now because you don't know where the target is. You don't know if somebody's in the crowd was the shooter. You don't know. And at some point, they yell the shooter's down. That's nothing to relax on because the shooter's down. Because in reality, there could have been multiple shooters. Now, had there been multiple shooters, it probably would have ended a little different. Because that sniper, I don't know how many Secret Service snipers had, but it's not like you can take multiple shots with that sniper high-powered rifle. It doesn't work like that. You got to get on site, breathe properly. It's a lot that goes into a sniper. Wind, it's distance, gravity, the rotation of the earth. I know y'all probably like, nah, get out of here. No, I'm being honest. Look it up. There's a lot that goes into it. So, of course, sometimes you don't have time to do all that stuff if there's a threat against the president. You got to take that shot. But on the same note, if there are multiple shooters like this one shooter, you got a problem. Because he might have missed and got eliminated, but guess what? There's going to be another shooter. So what do you do in this situation? You hope for the best. But fortunately, in this particular case, it appeared to be one shooter. And, of course, like I said, there's a gentleman that unfortunately lost his life. I don't know if Secret Service struck him, or I don't know if he was struck by the individual that attempted to shoot the president's round. I don't know if he actually did it. It's hard to say. Of course, they'll play it that he was the hero and he was shot. We don't really know what happens. And I just tell anybody, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see. Use some common sense and use good judgment because you can't always believe what you hear or see, and you know where I'm going with that. Also, again, they finally got him to the suburban, and Donald Trump is standing on the running board, still won't get into it. You know what I'm saying? So they had ample opportunities to take the shot. He made it very easy if there were multiple shooters to take him out. Fortunately, it didn't go down that way, but it was also a poor. It was poor performance by the president himself. I mean, obviously, anybody that knows, he's not going to listen to a whole lot. He's going to do him. And he's been doing that regardless. Comes down to the political situation. Like I said before, I don't really get into it like that. This is just not me. It doesn't really affect me like that. I vote for the best candidate, and I'm not one that's going to vote for the lesser of two evils. If I don't have anything in common with them where nothing that they stand for is going to benefit me or that I subscribe to, I'm not voting. I don't care about the whole, but your ancestors died for you to vote. Yeah, but they didn't die for me to vote for the lesser of two evils. What am I vote for, Satan or Lucifer? They both devils. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not politically affiliated like that. That's just not me. However, the bottom line is I'm going to get ready to check out. Got some more stuff coming. Stay tuned. Subscribe. I'm gone.